In today's video, I'm going to show you the route that I took through Wyoming. I entered Wyoming on 90 coming from Spearfish, South Dakota. My first stop was in Sundance, and I got off the interstate and headed into some BLM land to camp. The next day, I headed into Devil's Tower. I climbed up pretty high to get a time lapse one evening, and it turned out pretty cool, even though more clouds came through than I was expecting. The next day, I met up with my friends, the Whites, and made a pretty fun video. You'll have to go check it out. I'll leave a link in the description below. It was really fun to meet up with them and explore the National Monument. Definitely stop and check it out. It's really not that far off the interstate. After Devil's Tower, I got back on the interstate and headed all the way to Buffalo, where I stopped for gas and a couple groceries and a little bit of information on the area. And then I headed up into the Bighorn Mountains. The Bighorn Mountains definitely gave me a new wave of excitement, getting to some really high altitude mountains. I stayed in the Bighorns for about 3 days. One day I left the van and did a short backpacking trip overnight into the mountains. I hiked up to a place called Willow Lake and stayed right near the lake, and then the next day took a very intense hike up to a peak that I could see from my campsite. That was a tiring hike, but definitely worth the views. I made a short video on that backpacking trip. I'll leave it in the description below. The drive out of the Bighorns through the Ten Sleep Canyon into Ten Sleep was a crazy awesome drive. That canyon was huge. The next stop was in Cody, Wyoming, where I met up with a friend of mine. Today I have a special guest with me. This is my new friend, Rowen.
Hello.
Rowen, tell us what you're doing.
All right, I am taking my bicycle here from Omaha, Nebraska, riding all the way to Olympic National Park in Washington. That's the end of the first leg of the trip. I've been out, today's day 29 on the road. It gets kind of hard to keep track sometimes, but I've got my tent and my panniers all loaded up, and yeah, I can take everything that I need with me right here on my bicycle. It's served me pretty well so far. So
Pretty sweet.
yeah.
So we met up at Badlands National Park, what was about 4 weeks ago? 3 or 4 weeks ago?
About 3 weeks ago, I'd say.
3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And we're both just getting water at the same time, and we're like, oh, what are you up to? And I was like, what are you up to? And after chatting, we realized that we were kind of heading in the same direction. So we kind of crossed paths here in Cody, Wyoming, and that's where we are at the beautiful Walmart parking lot right now.
Got some pretty incredible views over here from the Walmart, though, not gonna lie.
Yeah. So can you tell us where you like store everything on your bike? Because it's a lot of stuff to have on your bike with you.
Definitely. So here's one of the bags. This is my rear pannier. It's waterproof, and I keep most of my camping stuff in these that just hatch right on. Excuse my breakfast mess. But they latch right onto the rack here, and then I have 2 bags that go up front. I keep my tent on top of the rack here, and my sleeping bag goes right here. In total, it's probably about 70 or so pounds all loaded up, but you gotta do what you gotta do. You gotta be prepared for all sorts of weather. It gets pretty hot during the day and pretty cold during the night, so I have to have a nice big down sleeping bag and waterproof everything just to make sure. But yeah, so it's move slow, but I move where I need to go.
Yeah. Well, thanks for the tour, and best of luck to you on your journey.
Thank you.
If you think what Rowen is doing is pretty cool, I'll leave his Instagram name down below, and he also posts a few videos to YouTube once in a while, so you could check his stuff out. He also has a few links to Patreon and PayPal where you can support him on his journey if that's something you'd want to do. After Cody, I drove into Yellowstone, which was also a super cool drive. I only did one short hike in Yellowstone because I was heading down to meet up with some friends in Jackson, so I drove all the way from Cody down to Jackson in the same day, and that drive was incredible. So many good views. I spent a good week and a half in Jackson doing a lot of fishing and hiking and dirt biking. I made a recap video of my time there, and I'll leave a link for that in the description below. I also made a catch, clean, and cook video, which you can find below as well. After Jackson, I headed through Wilson and into the Teton Pass into Idaho. I was only in Wyoming for about 2 weeks, but had some places I needed to get to, so I made my way through pretty quickly. But I definitely want to get back to the Bighorn Mountains and do some more exploring, and there's just endless things to do at Yellowstone and Teton National Park as well. And with that, on to Idaho.